10. Now, how's your life? Things on track? Have you maybe taken a slight detour, or maybe you've actually lost sight of the path altogether? Well, don't despair. There are experts who can help us all make that redirection that we might need in our lives. They're called coaches, and more specifically, I guess, life coaches. This week happens to be International Coaching Week, and we thought we'd get some of that life advice with John Southwell, who's a local coach who also happens to be part of the International Coach Federation. John, good morning.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Pretty well, thank you. So this is International Coach Week.
Yes.
What's the idea of that? Just to raise awareness of coaching?
Yeah, really, it's well, the International Coach Federation is the major body worldwide. There's over 17,000 members in 90 countries, and it's been going for over 15 years now, and it sets the benchmark standard. It's a bit like if you get an accountant, they talk about get a CA, get a qualified accountant, we'll get a certified coach. And the International Coach Federation administers and sets standards, provides independent certification, etc.
So this week there is a chance for people who maybe don't really know what a coach does, just to get a bit of a feeling for it.
Yeah, free, no obligation, and it's gaining more popularity. There's a couple of us going to set up at the Monkey Bar. Elizabeth Gorstager, another ICF member, and myself will be at the Monkey Bar in Dubbo tomorrow afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30, and on Thursday morning 9:30 to 12. And that's just to come and meet and have what we call maybe a bit of laser coaching. We'll do some quick coaching, free coaching, no obligation.
What sort of thing do you do when you first meet somebody, and I mean, is there always a similar starting point?
Not always. Sometimes, like I work in regional Australia, and I've got clients I've never met yet, but they've heard about me and rung up, and I've coached people in the major capital cities in Australia and overseas, and they've heard. Or sometimes, as when I first started out about 7 years ago now, I just went and introduced myself, and some people looked at me as if I was coming from another planet. I'll never forget one guy. I went in, I was just walking around introducing myself at businesses, and probably one of the most moving experiences I'd had. Because a coach is really a buddy who's outside the family, outside the loop, outside the business. They're not contaminated in a positive sense by the agenda of where they're coming from. And I just introduced myself to this guy, and we sat down and had a talk, and I explained a little bit about what I did, and he just teared up. And in the front of his business, and it led from there, and we've been working together for years. And there's just there was someone else, because it's lonely at the top, lonely running a business, and I just became someone he could confide in. Confidentiality is paramount, and I've since worked with a number of their staff, etc.
So really, there probably is no similar starting point. It really depends on where people are up to in their own lives and or business.
Yeah, and they want to be willing. They need first, the primary criteria is that they're a willing participant. There's no forcing. They can stop at any time if it's not working, which I guess leads to selecting a coach. It's good to talk to 2 or 3 coaches before you decide which one you want to work with, because not everybody's going to be a match, just personality-wise, etc.
I guess in the early days, and even probably now, I mean, if you would approach people and talk about coaching, and I'm sure you still get some pretty odd stares, or, oh, well, nice to meet you, mate, see you later. Is that a fairly hard, you must have a fairly thick skin?
Probably a bigger heart than a thick skin, I think. And yeah, I guess that's what coaching's about. You're not judging in any way, and people choose not to be there, and sometimes it's interesting, sometimes you work with the staff in an organisation. I say, I wish the boss would do it, and but the boss has got some of the staff doing it. So they've got to be willing and ready. Timing is important.
Well, so to talk to us about that then, by being willing and ready and timing, it's really, it does have to be the right time as much as anything, I suppose, for people. And what does that mean then?
I guess, I was thinking of that song you had as the intro, I Can't Get Enough, and I felt in the chorus, and I was thinking of I can't get enough of life, or, I can't get enough of my free time or family. I worked with one guy who wanted a bit more time, and he came to me about a year or so later, and he said, now I need to do something with the time that I've found that I've got. Because but first of all, he wasn't ready. I spoke with him, and it was about 6 months later, and he was walking down the street, and I hadn't seen him for months and months. He put his hand up, singing out across the street, "I'm ready now." And he, started to work with me, and went ahead leaps and bounds. And we talk about anything. Can be family issues, can be work issues, staff issues. It doesn't have to be a problem. It's usually, most of my clients be successful people wanting to, to become more successful in who they are and not just what they do as well.
Mm. So, as much as anything though, I guess you're not there to provide endless solutions. It's just about working through some, different problems and scenarios that, whether it's business or life, that people have.
Yeah, most of the coaching, if I'm having a coaching session, there's a sort of an 80-20 rule. I listen 80% of the time and talk 20. That's pretty hard for me. But you're sort of listening for what they're not saying as much as what they are. And they'll bring the issues. I've got time for other quick stories.
Yeah, sure.
I was working with one guy for a while in manufacturing, and he was talking away there, and he said he just happened to slip in that he woke up at I think it was 4:30 or something on a Monday morning. I've told this story a few times, and I just let him talk on, and I just went back. I said, "What's this 4:30 Monday waking up business?" He said, "Oh, I should have got to do that. He should have done it for 17 years since I started my business." I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm working out what all those people are going to do who are working for me today." And so we just, you asked me whether I give advice. No, I don't. But I elicit it from people, and that way, people are, you're accountable for yourself, but I'll help you to find a path.
Find that path.
And this guy said, "I've been doing this for 17 years." I said, "Well," I asked him, and sometimes it was really hard not to come in because I've got 100 answers going around in my head, but I can't give them. And I say, "Well, is there any other way?" And I sort of let it a bit. "Could you let them in on the secret a bit earlier as to what they're going to be doing when they start work whenever they came in at 7:30? And he just went quiet. He thought about it, and the outcome of that was that he used to meet with them on a Thursday, and they'd know. And they'd come in, and a couple of things happened. They started to beat him to work. They were waiting to start work on Monday morning. There was less sick leave. He was easy to get on with, became more approachable. And that's the sort of dynamic that can occur. But I didn't give him any advice. And it was great. Actually, his wife tracked me down to thank me for what had happened. that was pretty good. That's happened a couple of times. That's pretty good.
No more 4:30 wake-up calls.
Well, not only that, just this
general demeanour.
His general demeanour just changed.
So really, as far as coaching, it really, you don't have to be special. You just have to be a person that's willing to take it on board, I suppose.
You mean a coach? Or
to accept the coaching, to want coaching. You don't need to be in a certain sort of business or have a certain sort of life. It's just whatever.
It's just a total variety. I guess, I've got a few years under my belt and a bit of experience, so I don't have a particular niche with coaching because I've got a fairly broad base. And, I've coached people, young people wanting to make a decision about career choices, whether to go to uni, what course to take, older people about retirement, families, rural families about succession planning, and, they've got to the point that's just too difficult, and they're, learning to communicate effectively and efficiently. One of the wonderful things that I can do, is training people in business, particularly the senior management, to be coach-like in their management. And then that transforms the whole culture of the organisation. That's great to watch and see.
John, the sessions are happening this week. We're going to put a link up, so it's yourself, John Southwell, and also Elizabeth Gorshacker, who are offering these free coaching sessions, a chance to find out what is involved and maybe what sort of path it could take you on. We'll pop up a link with some more details on our blog on abc.net.au/Western Plains. Click on programs and click on mornings, and we'll have some more details there for you. John, nice to talk to you.
That's great. And there's also, if people can't get to Dunbar, they make a phone call.
Yep.
Put the phone numbers on there too. That'd be great.
Do that. No worries.
I work by phone. But thank you, Dougal.
Thanks, John. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
John Southwell, who's a life coach and part of the International Coach Federation, which is celebrating International Coaching Week. This is Brooke Fraser.